you mind, James? Henry sneered. It's only steam, he retorted. Not like it'll spoil your paintwork. Henry scoffed. I'm surprised you don't run empty blowing off like that. Did the works give you cannons for safety valves? James was about to argue, but a solemn voice cut in. At least they work. All eyes turned to Gordon. I suppose you would know about burst valves, Henry chuckled. Gordon gave Henry a glare. Have you ever heard the story of Samson? Who is Samson? Asked Edward with cautious interest. I must say, Edward, Gordon said with a wink, I would have expected you of all engines to know this tale. Well, James said impatiently, aren't you going to tell us? Gordon gave James a disapproving look, but began. While I was having my safety valve mended, a workman told me of an engine who had it far worse. His name was Samson, and he worked for the old Sodor and Mainland, the strongest engine they ever had. He only had 4 wheels, but he was big and always pulled his trains on time. Management loves me, Samson would say. I've done wonders for this railway. It's far too easy. The other engines got tired of hearing it, but they couldn't deny he was never short of steam. It was down to his driver. He was a strict man who kept his engine in tip-top condition and never let a wisp of steam emerge from anywhere but the chimney. Unfortunately, that also meant the safety valve. But he can't stop steam coming out of the safety valve, James interrupted. Only fitters can tamper with those. That's true now, said Edward gravely. But back then, safety valves weren't kept locked. Drivers could screw the valve down to stop steam escaping. Before Edward could say any more, however, Gordon resumed. Samson never blew off steam anywhere. His driver and fireman kept him in check and used his abundance of steam to his advantage. Longer trains, faster timetables. The railway had never been more profitable. One night, Samson had arrived with a passenger train. He had to run 2 times with only a few minutes before the next one was due out. Is the heat getting to you? One of the engines called. I thought you could handle this easily. Samson just flounced away to the water column for a drink. Then, all that steam had stretched his system thin, and without relief, he was heading for trouble. Nobody knew at the time. His pressure gauge had looped around to show nothing amiss. One moment, Samson was calmly taking on water. The next, the spot where he stood was engulfed in steam. You mean he... Henry looked petrified. When the steam cleared and the dust settled, there was little left of poor Samson that was worth salvaging. They sold what they could for scrap and built a turntable on top of the crater that he made. It left the railway without a strong engine to uphold the faster trains they had. It left the railway in a worse position than before they bought Samson and would haunt them for years, Gordon finished. All the engines in the shed were silent. They all stared into the distance before eventually going to sleep. Edward and Gordon were the last ones awake. Are you sure that's how the story went? Edward whispered. It's what the workman told me. Edward was confused. It's just, I didn't know the Sodor and Mainland had a 4th engine. I've only been told of the 3. Both blue engines sat in silence once more, wondering if what was told was true.